Have you ever wondered what life would be like if suddenly everything you know was challenged by a single encounter? What if your reality was turned upside down simply because two people from different worlds crossed paths? This is the kind of silent transformation that can happen when we least expect it. It's as if the universe, with its web of invisible connections, brings us something unexpected, something we can't control. The story you're about to hear today is about that, the unexpected, the improbable, the moment that challenges what we believe is possible. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Your support means a lot and helps us reach more people with this inspiring story. Sophia Carter, a 32-year-old woman, had always lived with her feet firmly planted in the hard soil of a difficult reality. Raised in a peripheral neighborhood, in a world where opportunities don't just fall from the sky, Sophia carried her dreams like a heavy backpack. But the weight of expectations, the constant struggle to find a place where she could shine, made her feel like an outsider, as if life had something more in store for her, but she didn't know how to reach it. She was a dreamer, yes, but in her mind, social limitations were a difficult reality to ignore. Her mother, with her quiet wisdom and a life marked by humility, encouraged her to seek financial stability, but without illusions, it was a battle. So, Sophia gave herself to working at the NGO, trying to make a difference, even if her own life was marked by limitations. On the other side of this story is Alexander Alex Sterling, a 35-year-old man who was born into a world of privilege. Heir to one of the country's largest investment networks, Alex grew up surrounded by luxury, status, and the certainty that his life would always be marked by opportunities. He had everything money could buy, but something essential was missing. Something he didn't quite know what it was, but felt an increasing emptiness. Superficial relationships, based on status and convenience, had marked his journey. He saw the world around him, always seeking more, but he felt empty. He longed for something more genuine, something real. But where could he find that, in a world where everything seemed calculated and measured? And then, something happened. What seemed like just another gala event, a simple fundraising evening, became the moment that would change everything. For Sophia, that evening was just another opportunity to contribute to her cause. She never imagined that, as a simple administrative assistant, she would find herself at a high society event. She felt out of place, like an intruder in that environment. Curious and judgmental looks, muffled laughter, forced smiles. How could someone like her, from humble origins, fit into this world? But amidst the glamour and ostentation, something caught Alex's attention. He saw her. Sophia, with her simple dress and genuine smile, stood out because of her authenticity. She was there, with no pretensions, simply doing what she knew how to do best, helping. She was helping volunteers distribute gifts to the children in the community the NGO served, with an impressive naturalness. She didn't need anything to shine, just her presence. And Alex, who was used to seeing people only as an extension of his power, felt something different. He was intrigued. How could someone so simple, so genuine, still leave an impression in a world like this? That's when fate decided to act. Distracted, Sophia bumped into Alex as she was leaving one of the conference rooms. She quickly apologized, but Alex, in an impulse he couldn't control, stopped her from leaving. His eyes, usually skeptical and calculating, were now fixed on her. Something changed within him. He didn't know what it was, but what he saw there, in Sophia's eyes, was genuine. It was real. Something he had never experienced before. Sophia, on the other hand, felt small. Amidst all that ostentation, she didn't know where to place herself, but Alex's presence, his calm and sincerity, made her feel that, for a moment, there was something more there, something that didn't depend on money or status, a feeling she couldn't quite identify, but one that touched her soul deeply. This was just the beginning. What seemed like just a casual meeting between two opposite worlds would soon become the key to an unexpected transformation. They didn't know it yet, but that moment, that look, would begin rewriting their stories in ways they couldn't even imagine. Because sometimes, the most unexpected encounters are the ones that show us the path to the deepest transformation. Sophia's discomfort is palpable, as if an invisible weight is on her shoulders. Each step she takes in that environment, with its sparkling chandeliers and calculated smiles, seems like a reminder that she doesn't belong there. The invitation to the gala was, no doubt, a great opportunity, but instead of being a chance to shine, she felt more like an intruder. The sophistication of the event and the impeccable appearance of the people around her made her feel out of place. The conversations around her, empty and laced with names and brands, made her doubt herself. She tried to hide behind a smile, attempting to disguise the shyness and insecurity that crept in with every look that observed her from afar. When she finally encounters Alex, the sense of discomfort grows even more intense. Her voice trembles slightly as she talks about her work at the NGO, something that, for her, is her life and passion, but which seems irrelevant in the luxurious environment. As she speaks, she tries to project the image of someone confident, but she knows she is being observed in a way that makes her feel smaller. Alex, who is used to being seen only for his position, begins to realize the difference between their worlds. He notices the way Sophia speaks, with a simplicity that contradicts everything around her, something that is not common among the people in his circle. The tension grows in Alex, but not in the way he expected. He feels a strange empathy for Sophia, as if something in her was different, something he had always searched for but never found. He is used to being admired for his wealth, for his status, but Sophia doesn't see him that way. She doesn't view him as a source of validation. She's not interested in his social position, and that creates discomfort for Alex. He begins to question whether he's merely attracted to the difference in class, whether he's curious about what Sophia's life represents to him, or if, in fact, she is someone he's deeply interested in as a person. However, as the conversation unfolds, Alex notices something else. Sophia is not a woman of pretensions. She speaks with a sincerity that touches something deep inside him, something he rarely finds in his relationships. At the same time, he finds himself torn. Is he fooling himself, projecting his own expectations onto her? Or is there something genuine behind that conversation, something that could challenge him to rethink his own life and the values he had previously held important? What Alex and Sophia don't know, at that moment of mutual discomfort, is that their first meeting, filled with insecurities and strangeness, would be just the beginning of something much bigger. Throughout the night, their paths cross several times. They exchange looks, shy smiles, scattered words, but there's something invisible that keeps them connected. It's a silent connection, one that goes beyond what they can comprehend at that moment. The words exchanged are not enough to explain what they feel, but they open a door that leads them to question what is real, what is possible. Later, Alex decides to invite her for coffee outside the event. Sophia hesitates. The insecurity and fear of not fitting into his world make her doubt her decision. What is she doing there? But At the same time, something inside her pushes her to accept something she can't control, as if that moment were an opportunity to finally understand something that always seemed unreachable. She allows herself. They leave the luxurious setting of the gala and head to a nearby square where the brightness of the lights and the weight of high society's gaze fade away. There, they are just two people, talking as if the world around them didn't exist. When they sit and start talking, everything flows more naturally. Alex realizes that, with Sophia, he doesn't need masks or social games. She expects nothing from him, neither his status nor his wealth. She sees him as he truly is, without artifice. This unsettles him in a way he never imagined. She, in turn, realizes that the image of Alex she had, based on wealth and luxury, is beginning to fade. What she sees there is not the rich, powerful man, but someone who, despite having everything money can buy, is still looking for something more genuine, something simpler. She sees in him a vulnerability she hadn't noticed before, something that makes her feel a deeper connection. Their conversation is not about grand matters or elaborate words. There are no big revelations or promises, but something greater is happening there. It's the recognition that, despite all the differences, there is something that unites them, something invisible that transcends social status, financial class, and external expectations. It's a connection that can't be explained, but that, at that moment, feels more real than anything they've ever experienced. Both of them feel that something is there, something that challenges them, that makes them question their own lives, choices, and values. This unexpected moment between two distant worlds is not just a casual encounter. It is the beginning of something transformational, something that will slowly lead them to question everything they know about themselves, what truly matters, and what defines a true connection. The future, though uncertain, begins to feel more promising, and they don't yet know that this meeting will lead them on a journey of transformation, where their very concepts of class, identity, and love will be challenged. As Sophia and Alex's relationship progresses, external criticisms begin to take shape. They don't notice it immediately, but the looks around them begin to intensify. Alex's friends, with their voices full of skepticism, question the relationship with a woman who, to them, doesn't fit the image Alex is supposed to project. They silently wonder what he sees in someone so distant from his world. The jokes, the implied doubts, the comments about Sophia's humble origins, these all begin to infiltrate their everyday conversations like a silent poison. To them, Alex's love for Sophia is, at best, a phase. They don't believe someone like her could possibly understand the weight of a man like Alex, who carries not only the name of a dynasty, but the responsibility of an empire. At the same time, Sophia's family watches the relationship with constant concern. Her mother, who sees her with so much love and protection, begins to wonder if Sophia is fooling herself, believing that a man with so much power and wealth could really care for her. She fears that her daughter, although she has found something genuine, is at risk of losing her essence in the process. She sees the obstacles Sophia faces as she tries to fit into this world and fears she will be diluted into it, forgetting what truly matters. While Alex offers gifts and opportunities from a new world, Sophia's mother wonders, how genuine can wealth be if there is no respect for the origin from which she comes? The two worlds of Sophia and Alex, which collide in a magical and unexpected way, now face the weight of social expectations. It is no longer just their individual stories that matter, but the gaze of a society that feels threatened by a connection that challenges the rules of what is acceptable. They, who were once just two souls meeting, now find themselves as pieces on a board, played by other hands, by other voices that want to define what is right or wrong, worthy or unworthy. Sophia feels torn. On one hand, she wants to live her love with Alex genuinely, but on the other, the external pressure starts to affect her confidence. Each comment, each suspicious look, each silent criticism seems to cut away at a part of herself. She, who has always been resilient, now finds herself questioning whether she truly deserves this love, whether she can balance the two worlds in an honest way. The weight of society's expectations, which seem to demand that she fit into a mold she cannot fill, makes her doubt her own voice. She starts to wonder if Alex, with all his wealth and power, is willing to embrace her truth with all her imperfections and humble origins, or if, eventually, he too will be seduced by the perfection of the society around him. Despite the deep and sincere connection between them, Sophia begins to feel a constant pressure to meet what she believes Alex needs. She feels that she needs to transform, to be accepted, to be worthy of the love he offers. However, in the midst of this internal struggle, she begins to lose a bit of herself. Her essence, which has always been a reflection of her authenticity, starts to be replaced by a version of herself trying to please others. The fear of society's judgment begins to affect not only her confidence, but the way she sees herself in the world, and this, even if subtly, distances her from who she really is. Alex, for his part, feels an increasing guilt. He watches Sophia's silent suffering, feeling that she is being eroded by external expectations. And more than that, he sees himself as incapable of protecting her. He, who has the power to move mountains with a single gesture, cannot erase society's judgment. He begins to realize that their love, as real as it is being weakened by a pressure he didn't know how to deal with. He feels powerless seeing Sophia lose herself, and at the same time, he feels that he, too, is being judged for being with her. He knows what they are living is real, but the shadow of what other people think begins to loom over him as well, affecting his confidence and his view of what is right. The dilemma is clear: live the love they have, being challenged by gazes and external expectations, or give in to the pressure and let the relationship be shaped by what others expect of them. They both know that if they don't face this internal battle, the love they share could be lost. Instead of giving in to the social pressures that try to impose their weight on the relationship, Alex and Sophia begin to seek a strength that goes beyond the expectations of others. They decide to use society's judgment not as a weakness, but as fuel to strengthen what they have. Something inside them begins to shift. They realize that what truly matters is not what others think, but the authenticity of the bond they have built, which goes beyond origins, status, and class expectations. Sophia, with her quiet courage, begins to free herself from the pressure to please everyone. She understands, once and for all, that she cannot control society's gazes, but she can control her own truth. She allows herself to be who she truly is, without fear of being seen as inadequate. She starts to free herself from the fear of judgment, understanding that the love she lives is deeper than any condemning gaze, and in doing so, she finds new strength in her self-esteem. She realizes that the only validation she truly needs is her own. Alex, at the same time, begins to detach himself from the expectations of his own social class. He understands that the pressure to conform to what everyone expects from him no longer makes sense. He no longer needs to fit into the standards of status, and he begins to feel that, alongside Sophia, he can be more than a businessman or heir to a fortune. He can simply be himself, someone who seeks truth, simplicity, and, above all, genuine love. Together, Sophia and Alex decide that their connection is stronger than any external opinion. They begin to support each other, breaking the chains that society tried to put on their feet. They learn to challenge the labels and prejudices that people around them have, understanding that they are more than what others see. Their relationship, which began under the critical eyes of society, now becomes a symbol of resistance. They know they don't need to conform to expectations to find happiness. They are free to be who they truly are, together. This moment of resistance, where the couple unites in the face of external adversities, marks a turning point in their lives. They not only overcome the weight of other people's gazes, but they discover that true power lies in authenticity, mutual acceptance, and the courage to live a love without masks. They become stronger together, and this prepares them for the challenges that will come. But this time, nothing will be able to stop them. The contrast between Sophia's world and Alex's becomes more evident as their relationship intensifies. While the love they share is deep, the realities they live in, though intertwined, begin to seem like invisible barriers. For Sophia, who grew up in an environment where everyday needs required constant attention, luxury presents itself as something distorted. Fine dinners, international trips, and the grandeur of places Alex frequents are so distant from the reality she knew that she begins to feel like a stranger, a fish out of water. She cannot deny the discomfort she feels during those chic nights, sitting at a five-star restaurant table where conversations unfold around corporate mergers and global investments. The sparkle of crystal glasses and the sophistication of the clothes make everything even more distant. Although she appreciates Alex's affection and the generosity of his offers, there's something that cannot be bought: her essence. She knows that her happiness has never been tied to material wealth. She grows with the understanding that the true value of life lies in genuine connection, in the experiences shared, and not in the things that are acquired. However, as Alex continues to immerse her deeper into this world of luxury, she begins to question how much she can truly adapt to his new reality without losing who she is. How can she reconcile the desire to live by his side with the need to preserve her own values and identity? This cultural shock begins to undermine her confidence. Sophia feels that there's a thin line between being alongside Alex and losing herself in this dazzling world, where real connections seem to be replaced by glitter and appearances. And as she reflects on the future, a doubt arises. In the end, can she really be happy in a world where luxury defines the measure of everything? Or will she be diluted by it, losing her identity, no longer holding on to the principles that formed the foundation of her life up until now? The difference in class between the two becomes a point of tension, an invisible line that begins to stretch, threatening to rupture what seemed to be a love immune to barriers. For Alex, who was raised in an environment where money and opportunities were always at his reach, offering an expensive gift or proposing a luxurious trip for Sophia is, to him, a demonstration of affection. He believes these offers are ways to show his love and appreciation for her, but he doesn't realize that, for Sophia, they might represent something completely different. Sophia begins to feel an increasing discomfort when Alex tries, with good intentions, to help her bridge the gap of social class. When he invites her on extremely expensive trips or gifts her things she never imagined owning, she feels the weight of her class of origin becoming more evident. For her, these gestures are a reminder that she doesn't belong to that world. Instead of feeling valued, she begins to question whether Alex truly understands her reality, or if he's just trying to save her from a life he considers limited. The difference in class starts to reveal itself as an emotional abyss, something that, although invisible, is present in every gesture and word. Alex, for his part, begins to realize that his good intentions might actually be creating a barrier. He sees that, despite wanting to show Sophia that his love isn't tied to social class, his actions, based on his own understanding of what helping means, might be pushing her away. He feels like he's trying to make her feel part of his world, but she, on the other hand, feels that by being placed in that context, she's distancing herself from her roots, from who she truly is. The challenge of prejudice, which comes not only from outside but also from their own insecurities, tests the relationship. Sophia begins to wonder if her love for Alex will be enough to overcome the barrier of social class. She feels that, no matter how much he loves her, he cannot fully understand the complexities of her reality. And Alex, no matter how much he wants to be her protector, feels that he cannot overcome the expectations the world imposes on them, nor resolve the issues Sophia faces internally. Over time, the need to find a balance between their worlds becomes more urgent. Sophia and Alex begin to realize that, instead of trying to adjust to each other's worlds, they should create a space where both can feel authentic. The concept of luxury, which for Alex has always been associated with material wealth, begins to be rethought. He realizes that true luxury isn't in the things he can buy, but in the experiences they share together. He begins to learn that the most valuable moments are those when they are both present, without the distractions of an external world that demands perfection and ostentation. Sophia, for her part, begins to understand that what Alex offers is not just a reflection of luxury, but an attempt to show his affection and care. She starts to see that Alex's wealth does not diminish her, but instead offers opportunities for both of them to connect in new ways. She begins to open up to the fact that she can, indeed, live a life alongside him without losing the essence of what defines her. She realizes that the ideal world does not need to be defined by wealth or status, but by the authentic experiences they create together. Together, they begin to redefine what luxury means. They leave behind the superficiality of material things and focus on what truly matters: the shared laughter, the silent moments when they understand each other without words, the deep conversations about life, their hopes, and their fears. They discover that true luxury lies in the authenticity of the relationship, in mutual commitment, and in the trust that regardless of external circumstances, they can find balance and happiness, and thus, the challenge of class differences begins to dissipate. What once seemed like an insurmountable barrier is now seen as an opportunity for growth for both. They learn that true wealth lies in what they share, not in the things they accumulate. They redefine what it means to have it all, discovering that the greatest gift of all is the ability to live together with truth, authenticity, and love. The financial difference begins to subtly, but persistently, infiltrate Sophia and Alex's relationship. The love they share, which seemed strong enough to withstand any barrier, is now threatened by something they cannot control: the weight of money. When Alex suggests a luxurious trip, something inside Sophia closes off. Although the idea of traveling to a paradise destination with him, surrounded by luxury and comfort, seems tempting at first, Sophia cannot ignore the uncomfortable feeling that invades her. She refuses, not out of a lack of desire, but because Alex's proposal makes her feel like an accessory in his life of wealth. The class difference makes her doubt herself and her position in the relationship. Is she being seen only as someone who benefits from his fortune, or, by accepting these offers, will she lose her own identity, becoming a part of the spectacle he can buy, but which she doesn't want to live? For Sophia, Alex's generosity, no matter how well-intentioned, begins to represent a threat to the genuineness of the relationship. She wonders if Alex sees her as someone who truly loves him, or if he merely views her as a prize to be won, a symbol of his purchasing power. This tension begins to affect their relationship in ways they hadn't anticipated. For Alex, the idea of offering something so grand to Sophia comes from a place of love, but he doesn't realize that, for her, these gestures don't represent affection, but rather a reaffirmation of the distance he carries between the two worlds. Sophia cannot help but feel as though she's being bought, and this starts to erode her self-confidence, and consequently, the trust in the relationship. Alex feels the tension but doesn't know how to act. He thinks he's doing something good, trying to offer her the life he has, without realizing that, for her, it's more of a reflection of his class than a genuine expression of his love. The financial difference isn't just about numbers and material possessions, it's also about emotions and insecurities that arise when money starts dictating the terms of the relationship. As the relationship progresses, Alex's gestures begin to become sources of discomfort for Sophia. What should be an expression of affection and love ends up becoming a constant reminder of the class difference between them. When Alex gifts Sophia expensive jewelry or an exclusive dress, she feels a knot tightening in her chest. While he sees these gestures as a way to show how much he cares, she perceives them completely differently. For Sophia, these gifts are not signs of affection, but symbols of the abyss between their worlds. The class difference, which she tries to hide, becomes visible with every gift, with every grand gesture. She sees herself as a woman who doesn't deserve that, as if it were impossible for her to accept these demonstrations of affection without feeling inferior. She begins to question the true meaning of these gestures. Does Alex really love her for who she is, or is he just trying to fill an empty space with what he can buy? Is his love based on material possessions? Sophia begins to feel that, no matter how much Alex loves her, he doesn't fully understand her reality. He doesn't understand that the simplicity of the things that truly matter to her, like a dinner at home, a shared moment of laughter, or a walk in the park, are more valuable than any expensive gift. She realizes that by receiving these grand gestures, she's being dragged into a world where the authenticity of feelings is distorted by the shine of things that can be bought. Alex, for his part, begins to get frustrated. He sees Sophia's resistance and doesn't understand. He tries, once again, to show his love through gifts, but starts to feel that he's doing something wrong. He wonders if his way of loving is being misinterpreted, if the gestures he believes are the best he can offer are actually pushing her away. He doesn't know how to express his affection without it being perceived as an attempt to compensate for the class difference. The dilemma both face is clear. How can money, which should be a reflection of the abundance of his life, be eroding the trust and authenticity of the relationship? As time passes and the challenges of money become more evident, Sophia and Alex begin to realize that true value isn't in what they can acquire, but in what they can build together. Money, which once represented a dividing line between their two worlds, begins to transform into something deeper and more meaningful. They both begin to understand that love and mutual respect are priceless, and that true wealth isn't in what one possesses, but in what one shares. They begin to reassess their priorities. For Alex, this means understanding that luxury isn't what will give meaning to their lives, but rather the way he can be present for Sophia, with honesty and without adornments. He realizes that he no longer needs to use money as a substitute for affection, but as a way to create truly valuable experiences alongside the person he loves. He begins to focus on what truly matters, the genuine moments they share, building a life where both feel respected and loved for who they are and not for the things they possess. Sophia, for her part, begins to see wealth differently. She allows herself to accept that, yes, life alongside Alex may include moments of luxury, but that doesn't need to define the relationship. What she truly values now is the trust and emotional connection they develop. She learns that true wealth isn't in the value of a gift, but in the way Alex sees her, in how he supports her, and in the security he offers. Luxury doesn't define her. Love, trust, and respect do. The transformation that occurs within her is profound, and she realizes she can live a life of abundance without having to give up her essence. Together, they find a new balance where money no longer defines their happiness, but the authenticity of the relationship they build. They understand that true wealth isn't in possessions, but in how they give themselves to one another, without masks, without external expectations. And so, money ceases to be a barrier, becoming just a means of living more deeply, sharing what's most important, love. As Alex and Sophia's relationship develops, it directly begins to challenge the social norms society imposes about who should be with whom, especially in a relationship between such different social classes. Their love, which emerges as something genuine, begins to disturb those around them. Society, which has always tried to place people into well-defined boxes, those who belong to circles of wealth, and those who should be content with what they have, begins to question what a couple really means. Their relationship challenges the idea that love must follow a pre-established pattern, where class differences, or even origin, cannot be ignored. Alex and Sophia, as much as they love each other, are constantly confronted with critical gazes. But what society doesn't see is that, for them, what matters isn't other people's expectations, but the authenticity of the bond they are creating. They unconsciously begin to break the norms, redefining what it means to be a couple. Over time, they discover that they don't need to follow pre-existing rules about who should be with whom. They don't need to adapt to a social mold or meet class expectations to validate what they have. On the contrary, they feel free to create their own definition of a relationship based on mutual respect, deep understanding, and genuine love, without fear of what others might think. The resistance they face doesn't become an obstacle, but a motivation. Society may try to impose limits, but Alex and Sophia begin to realize that their love doesn't fit within the rigid structures that society tries to create. They have the power to redefine these roles, creating a new space for themselves, where differences are not barriers, but part of what makes the relationship even more special. As the external gazes continue to criticize Alex and Sophia's relationship, the couple finds themselves on delicate ground. The criticisms from society, Alex's friends, and even Sophia's family begin to grow. They are constantly questioned about what they are doing together, how they can continue in such an unlikely relationship. But instead of letting these external voices affect them, Alex and Sophia begin to use the criticism as fuel to strengthen the bond they share. Every negative comment, every judgmental look, becomes a reminder that, for them, what really matters is what they are building together, and not the opinions of those who don't know the depth of their relationship. Sophia, who initially felt vulnerable and insecure in the face of the criticism, begins to realize that these adversities only make her stronger. She understands that by staying true to herself and the love she feels for Alex, she is consciously choosing not to conform to the standards imposed by society. She doesn't need external validation to feel complete. Alex's support, which continues to love her for who she is, despite the criticisms, further reinforces the trust she has in him and in their ability to face challenges together. Alex, for his part, begins to understand that he also has an important role to play in the fight against prejudice. He realizes that, alongside Sophia, he is not just challenging class stereotypes, but also breaking the expectations of what it means to be a successful man in a relationship. By staying firm in what he feels, even in the face of criticism, he feels that he is being authentic with himself and with Sophia. He learns that, to build a solid and true relationship, the opinions of others must be set aside. Together, they discover that by staying true to themselves, they not only strengthen the bond between them, but also create a more solid foundation for the future. They leave behind insecurities and become more united, more resilient. The external criticisms, which once seemed to threaten their relationship, now only serve to reinforce their union, showing that, together, they can overcome any adversity. As the relationship between Alex and Sophia deepens, they begin to question not only social expectations, but also the traditional gender and class roles that have always guided their lives. Sophia, who grew up in a world where women's places were often defined by their class and role in society, begins to free herself from these limitations. She realizes that she doesn't need to fit into the humble woman's stereotype to be loved and respected. She doesn't need to diminish herself to feel worthy of Alex's love, nor does she need to sacrifice her own beliefs to live in his world. Alex, for his part, begins to realize that the expectations about what it means to be a successful man and what is expected of him in a relationship also need to be reevaluated. He understands that, despite his wealth and status, he doesn't need to be the absolute provider or the one who controls everything. He begins to see that the true strength of a relationship lies in both partners supporting, challenging, and growing together. He learns to free himself from rigid ideas of what it means to be successful, both in his professional life and in the relationship. He begins to understand that being a real man is not about maintaining control, but about allowing the partnership to be built on equality and trust. Together, Sophia and Alex rescue the essence of what it means to be a couple without being tied to class and gender labels. They realize that by accepting and respecting each other as they are creating a new form of relationship, one that challenges traditional norms and redefines what it means to be successful. They discover that the true strength of a relationship lies in being authentic, in supporting each other, and in recognizing that each person's value is not in their social position or the gender role society tries to impose, but in the love, respect, and partnership they build together. Thus, by questioning expectations and traditional roles, Alex and Sophia create a unique space for themselves. They are not defined by the social class they were born into, nor by the predetermined gender roles that society tries to assign them. They become an expression of genuine love, a relationship marked by transformation and the freedom to be who they truly are, together. The relationship between Sophia and Alex, initially marked by evident differences, begins to be forged through the adversities they face together. With every obstacle, from external judgments to internal conflicts that arise in the relationship, They start to realize that there is no barrier big enough to weaken the bond they are creating. On the contrary, every difficulty becomes an opportunity for strengthening. They learn that, by facing difficulties side by side, they are not only overcoming obstacles, but also evolving as individuals and as a couple. Every critical comment they receive about their class difference, every moment of insecurity Sophia feels in the face of Alex's luxurious life, and every doubt Alex has about the sincerity of the relationship, serve to solidify a relationship that doesn't depend on external approval or material circumstances. They discover that what truly unites them is their willingness to fight together, to grow together, regardless of what the world around them thinks. The tension that once seemed like a turning point now transforms into fertile ground for emotional and personal evolution. Sophia begins to realize that challenges are not obstacles to avoid, but sources of learning. She realizes that, alongside Alex, she becomes stronger, more confident, and more capable of dealing with what once seemed insurmountable. Similarly, Alex learns to be more vulnerable, to question the patterns that have always dictated his life, and to open up to new ways of being and connecting. Every difficulty they face together teaches them something new about love, respect, patience, and most importantly, about the importance of being there for each other in all situations. As Alex and Sophia's relationship develops, they begin to realize that what truly keeps their relationship alive is not wealth, nor glamour, but the emotional commitment they have built with each other. Social class, which initially seemed like an impossible barrier to overcome, begins to lose its importance in the face of what really matters: love, trust, and mutual respect. They begin to see that the bond between them goes far beyond material things and is fueled by the emotional connection they share. Sophia begins to understand that true love isn't in the things Alex can offer her, but in the way he sees her, the way he respects her, and how he makes her feel secure in who she is. She learns that being loved by Alex doesn't mean she needs to transform into someone she's not. On the contrary, she feels that with him, she can be fully who she is, without fear of being judged or feeling inadequate. She feels that the bond between them is stronger than any social expectation or class difference. What unites them is the depth of their connection, not the image society tries to project onto them. Alex, for his part, begins to realize that the true wealth of his relationship lies in the emotional commitment he has with Sophia. He realizes that, despite all the luxury and comfort of his life, true happiness doesn't reside in possessions, but in the relationship he builds with her. He learns that the strength of the bond doesn't come from what he can offer, but from what he's willing to give in terms of love, understanding, and unconditional support. He understands that, for the relationship to be truly strong, he needs to be more than a financial provider. He needs to be a partner, someone Sophia can count on at all times, in all difficulties and joys. As time passes, Alex and Sophia become more than just partners in a relationship. They become, in fact, agents of change in each other's lives. Together, they learn to use difficulties and challenges as stepping stones for personal and emotional growth, and the relationship becomes stronger with every step. What initially seemed like a game of adaptation and overcoming barriers now transforms into a journey of resilience and continuous change. Sophia, who at first felt insecure and even lost in her new reality, begins to realize how much she has evolved since becoming involved with Alex. She has not only learned to deal with external pressures, but also to value herself in ways she never imagined possible. She becomes more confident, more able to fight for what she believes in, and for what she and Alex have built together. Every difficulty she has overcome, every criticism she has faced, has helped her become a stronger, more independent woman, more capable of handling any situation life may present. Alex also undergoes a profound transformation. His relationship with Sophia, which once seemed like an attempt to find something genuine in a superficial world, begins to be a true journey of self-discovery. He learns to question the values that have always guided his life, the financial success, external validation, and societal expectations, and begins to focus on what really matters: the quality of his relationships, the authenticity of his love, and the commitment he has with his partner. He learns that true happiness doesn't mean being admired or possessing wealth, but being honest with himself and with those he loves. Together, Alex and Sophia not only grow as individuals but also as a couple. They become stronger, not because their lives have become easier, but because they have learned to face challenges head-on, knowing that mutual support is what keeps them strong. Their love, once driven by physical attraction and the desire to overcome differences, is now sustained by deep commitment, mutual understanding, and the desire to grow together. They know that true strength comes from the resilience they have built together, from the ability to rise again after each fall, and from becoming better, not only as a couple, but also as individuals. Their relationship becomes a reflection of continuous evolution, a journey of transformation that only strengthens with time. With every step, they become more aware that, to move forward, they don't need to change each other but rather support the transformations they are both experiencing. Together, Alex and Sophia learn that true love is the one that challenges them to evolve, learn, and grow without fear of reinvention. And so, their story becomes not just a love story, but a story of overcoming and continuous growth. Sophia and Alex, now more mature and with a transformed view of the world and life, prove, with every step, that true love knows no barriers. What initially seemed like a challenging relationship, marked by evident differences, has become an unbreakable bond. They have understood, perhaps in a painful but deep way, that what really matters is not social class, origin, or what they possess, but the emotional connection that unites them. They have become living proof that love is priceless. It's not measured by the number of material possessions or social position, but by the strength of what one feels for the other, and by the willingness to face adversities together. The external differences, once seen as divisions, now become a bridge to the creation of a deeper connection. Sophia and Alex prove that the true value of their relationship lies in something much more important: respect, dedication, and mutual support, regardless of what the world around them thinks or expects from them. Their relationship reflects a universal truth: unconditional love does not require adaptation to what is superficial. Instead, it challenges us to grow together, to transcend the limitations society imposes, and to build a path where what matters is who we are when we are united, without masks, without external pressures. Their love becomes a transformative force, capable of overcoming any obstacle and creating a life where priorities are not dictated by wealth or status, but by the depth of emotional connection. As Sophia and Alex's relationship solidifies, they begin to realize that the true value of life does not reside in the incessant pursuit of material goods or social status, but in the positive impact one can create in the world around them. Together, they begin to invest in social projects, transforming the lives of others, just as Sophia's life was transformed. They are no longer just concerned with financial limitations or social expectations, but with the legacy they can leave by helping those who, like Sophia, grew up in vulnerable situations. The idea of having it all changes for them. They begin to understand that true prosperity lies in how they can contribute to the well-being of others, how they can make a real and lasting impact on the lives of people around them. The journey of Sophia and Alex transforms into something more grand. It is no longer a personal struggle to overcome the barriers of social class, but a collective effort to promote social change. They realize that their own happiness is actually tied to collective growth, to helping others find themselves and create their own stories of overcoming. Money, which in the past seemed to be the answer to everything, is now seen as a tool for something deeper, a way to create impact and promote transformation on a larger scale. Their relationship, then, is not just about what they have or what they can conquer, but about what they can do together to transform the world around them. Over time, Sophia and Alex's story of love and overcoming begins to echo far beyond their immediate circle. Realizing the magnitude of the transformation they have undergone, they decide to share their journey with the world. Their relationship, once seen as a series of obstacles and challenges, becomes a beacon of hope and inspiration for others who face similar barriers. They become living symbols that true love not only withstands difficulties, but also has the power to transcend all the limitations imposed by society, class, or economics. Sophia and Alex have not only overcome the social and emotional barriers that separated them, but they have also transformed into advocates for a new vision of life. Through their actions, they show that difficulties are not to be avoided, but to be used as stepping stones for growth. By sharing their story, they are not seeking recognition, but the inspiration of others to also overcome their own internal and external barriers. They know that, by showing their vulnerability, exposing their mistakes, insecurities, and victories, they are helping others see themselves differently. They become examples that transformation is possible, regardless of what life has offered up until now. Their story inspires people from different backgrounds to believe in the possibility of change, to see that love, courage, and commitment can redefine what they thought was insurmountable. Sophia and Alex are no longer just a couple facing class or relationship challenges. They have become a symbol of hope, showing that true love can be the most powerful force to transform lives, break barriers, and inspire a more inclusive, humane, and purposeful future. They discover that the greatest legacy they can leave is not material wealth, but the story of overcoming and transformation that can profoundly impact the lives of everyone who hears it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Your support means a lot and helps us reach more people with this inspiring story.